Castlevania Symphony of the Night was released in March of 1997. The game marks the Castlevania series' shift from having levels to having an open world with RPG elements. With this shift in gameplay, Symphony of the Night put the Vania in Metroidvania. The shift in gameplay was done because the previous Castlevania games were deemed as too difficult for mass appeal. When this game was originally released, I had never heard of it because I didn't really keep up with PlayStation news. Through pure luck, my uncle found this game at a pawn shop and picked it up because he knew he liked the Castlevania series. I was blown away when I found out Konami had mixed two of my favorite game genres together, the side-scrolling platformer with the JRPG. Symphony of the Night's a sequel to a previous Castlevania game on the PC Engine, Rondo of Blood. The game takes place 4 years after the events of Rondo of Blood when Dracula's castle reappears. Dracula's son and the game's main protagonist, Alucard, arrives at the castle with the intent to destroy it. Upon entering the castle, Alucard is met by the Grim Reaper who takes all his items. From here, you're able to explore the castle freely. The rest of the plot is mostly told through conversations with a vampire hunter named Maria, who's looking for her brother-in-law, Richter Belmont, who has gone missing. The plot elements in this game are cool, as the previous Castlevania games had no real plot other than find Dracula and whip him to death. The dialogue sequences and bad voice acting in this game adds a lot to the game's character and charm, and makes it much more quirky than it would have been otherwise. Symphony of the Night combines gameplay elements of RPGs with side-scrolling platforming, solidifying Metroidvania as a game genre. This game tends to be a bit more RPG-heavy than other games in the genre, which is something I love about it. It features a leveling system as well as an item management system that allows you to equip items to various slots. This allows the game to have various weapon types that handle differently. For instance, a dagger with high speed will attack quickly as you mash the button, while your standard sword will take a little bit more time with each swing. The movement in this game is drastically improved compared to previous Castlevania titles. The jumping doesn't feel as restrictive as it had in the past, and moving around feels extremely fluid. The game handles and feels wonderful, which helps when you're exploring a castle this big. The game's primary focus is exploration of the castle. The castle is absolutely massive in size and features numerous hidden passages and paths to discover. There are numerous wings to the castle and each one looks completely different from one another, but they all come together nicely to make the castle feel like each wing has its own purpose. The castle also resembles the castle from the original NES title, and it's really cool being able to explore it freely. As you make your way through the castle, you'll pick up various abilities, which will help with unlocking new areas of the castle. You get abilities that turn you into Mist, a wolf, or a bat, as well as some upgrades for those abilities. Aside from changing forms, you'll also get some upgrades to your jump, as well as some magic spells. The magic spells are cast similar to performing a special move in a fighting game. They're unlocked by figuring them out, or by buying a how-to sheet from the Master Librarian in the library. Unfortunately though, these spells feel kinda hit or miss when you're trying to perform them, and if you just button mash, you're bound to cast something. Later in the game, you're also able to find a few familiars, which are like little sidekicks that help you along the way. Each one has their own various abilities. For instance, the demon can attack and the fairy can heal. Familiars level up as you do, becoming more and more useful the more you use them. Once you have the bat ability, you're able to beat the game at any time. However, if you want to see the full game, you're going to need to obtain the Holy Goggles. This is done after a series of collecting items that are somewhat hidden throughout the castle. If you're able to do this after finishing the game's fake last boss, another castle will descend from the sky and you'll have an entire upside-down castle to explore. The upside-down castle is far more difficult than the original, with way harder enemies as well as platforming. You'll have to use the bat ability quite often just to move room to room. In the upside-down castle, you're also able to face off against the original bosses from the original Castlevania, which is a cool wink to longtime players of the series. Graphically, this game is stupid good looking. Sprite-based graphics tend to age better than older 3D graphics, and this game is a shining example of that. This game looks more advanced than anything seen on 16-bit, however, by staying sprite-based, it still maintains the same level of charm that many games from the previous generation had. All the enemies and areas just look so cool in Symphony of the Night, and I honestly think this has to be one of the best looking games on the entire PlayStation 1 library. This game's audio is great. The Castlevania games have always had really nice soundtracks, but having the game move from a sound chip to full CD quality audio is fantastic. The soundtrack has a really gothic feel to it with some awesome metal style guitar. The tracks range from moody and eerie to full-on epic. According to PriceCharting.com, Symphony of the Night was worth $32 for the original PlayStation version. The game has also been released on the PlayStation Network as well as the Xbox Live Arcade for a much cheaper price, so it can be easily played on the PS3, PS Vita, or the Xbox 360. Symphony of the Night is one of my favorite games of all time, and I don't think I could recommend it enough. It combines the item management and leveling up of an RPG with the action and platforming of a 2D side-scroller, which brings out the best of both genres. This was one of the best games of its generation, and if you haven't played it, you absolutely need to.